and Jares here. Pronouns are they, them, and theirs. I am a professional psychic, and I am also a professional brow artist. And this channel, Psychic Brows, is where I combine them both. Welcome back, everyone, to our Halloween week series special that we're doing. And thank you to everyone who joined us for yesterday's episode, which was all about the thinning of the veil that occurs between the worlds during this time around Halloween. And today, pretty excited about this, it's all about Ouija boards. And I have my Mel here, who's here to talk about Ouija boards that he grew up with in his family. And I'll get to that in just a moment. Say hello, Mel.
Hello, Mel.
So
I like the dad jokes.
Okay, so I think a lot of us grew up with the pop culture surrounding Ouija boards of basically every teen child horror movie or scary book that you could possibly encounter. And it's always the same thing. It's a bunch of kids get a Ouija board, they sneak it in, their parents tell them not to, or the babysitter or whomever, they sneak it in and they do it in the dark room with their friends or with their siblings, and they always do the same thing. They open it up, someone talks to them through it, they let in some disastrous demon, they don't close it, and just havoc ensues over and over and over again. And basically, it just has a terrifying, absolutely terrifying connotation with it, which there's some truth to it. But, like all things, there is a balance, right, Mel?
Yes.
Okay, so that's where my Mel is going to come in. I'm going to invite him to give us a little history of what his experience with Ouija boards is in his family.
Well, I guess I don't really know where to start. If you have any specific questions, that would probably help me out.
Did you play with Ouija boards as a kid?
I mean, play with them? You know, they weren't really toys.
Okay, see, that's where it's different, because here they're like literally in the game section.
Yeah,
they're
you know, I've seen
like,
that. What is
Scrabble.
that? Parker Brothers or something like that? Yeah. The Monopoly Man on it or something.
Right. Okay, so...
I have, by the way, just kind of a tangent, I actually have used one of those, I don't know what they are, I think they're Parker Brothers versions Ouija board when I came here to the US.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the kinds like you find in the gaming section of a store.
They're always like brown with black writing.
I actually have used one of those, and they do work.
Okay.
They can be legit, yeah.
Right. Well, wouldn't you agree that you could make your own board and that would work?
Yes, and that's actually what we used to do. That's actually how I understood what you guys call over here a Ouija board.
That was not a planned question. I did not know that. Okay, so yeah.
Well, we aren't on script, so I hope they believe you. I believe you.
Okay, so tell us about then. What was it like when you grew up with one?
Well, I mean, it's not like we just... I don't know. They weren't part of our
Oh my gosh, I am gonna prompt you more now. This is why Mel's history with Ouija boards and your in-depth history with Ouija boards intrigued me, because I was talking about it one day and he said, "Oh, well, where I grew up, we called them angel boards."
Yeah.
And they're actually really beautiful.
We don't talk to demons through them, like over here.
What'd you do with them?
We talk to angels.
Did you talk to
it's kind of like talking
members?
to your guides. Yeah, it could be talking to family members, could be talking to it's more looking for guidance. So I would probably think of it more like how I've seen people around here use tarot cards.
Or pendulums, maybe?
Or yeah, maybe pendulums, right?
Okay.
But not like we didn't go to this thing to like talk to a demon. Like, that seems kind of insane to me.
So you didn't get your teenage friends together with Budweisers in a cornfield and start doing
Right. Yeah.
I never did that
It's
either.
kind of a weird thing to, like, just for fun, try to invoke the devil, right?
Okay, so here's where my question is with that then.
Yeah.
Here, I feel like all people have is this entertainment focus around it and this pop culture focus around it with movies and
Yeah,
stuff.
super scary over here. If I had grown up here, I don't think I would ever have touched one.
But, okay. But,
Seriously, like the movies and stuff I've seen here about it, it's like, what?
well, it wouldn't have
And I
been
know we can't swear on this because
Right.
otherwise we'll get kicked off of some of the
platforms.
yeah,
Yeah.
we'll get kicked off some of those things. But y'all know what I'm thinking of, right? When I'm thinking like, what are you guys doing?
Well, so here's my question then. Do
Yeah.
you think it's being taught a different way of respect with it then?
Well, it doesn't seem like there is respect being taught with it. If I'm being perfectly honest,
Well, yeah.
it really just is more of an entertainment, like it's a toy. And, you know, it's like people half believe it and they half don't. I'm not even going to say half the people believe it, half don't, because really, on the unconscious level below the surface, you know just about everybody you come across believes in it, or else they wouldn't have an issue with having Ouija boards in the house. And, you know, it would be part of the wardrobe if there really wasn't, you know, a belief that there was something to it. But people have this thing where they half believe it and they half don't. And they're not, I don't know, it's weird. I think it's just because the exposure over here for a lot of people, not all, because we have such a mix of cultures and backgrounds and stuff in this country, right? But the mainstream, what gets shown in like the movies and, you know, pop culture is the sensationalism. It's the scary stuff. And you don't get the stuff that's like, I'm sick. What kind of herbs should I look for? You know, or
So is that what your family would do with it?
yeah. So when we used to, okay, so let me think back because it's been a while. What I was taught to do, first of all, we made all of our own. So like it wasn't a thing you could buy, right? You made your own. And some people, some families, because it depends on your families too, right? So different families, they kind of have like their own design, their own, you know, their own whatever. Like they, you know, they make a thing out of it, right? But I used to just grab paper at any given moment. I could do it on like a napkin at a restaurant. Like I said, it's the way we kind of used it was more of a tool, something I think more akin to maybe what tarot cards are used for here, or like you say, a pendulum. So if we needed guidance somewhere, and I don't mean guidance like, should I wear the blue shirt or should I wear the red shirt? Right? Not that kind of guidance. But guidance like, I have this dilemma, and if I do this, it could hurt this person, but it'll help this person. But if I do this thing, it'll hurt the other person while helping, you know, this other person. So it's kind of more like these ethical dilemmas, these moral dilemmas, and then yes, other things too, like, you know, I can't, you know, my child is lost. We haven't heard from them, you know, for like 3 months. You know, we thought they went on a walkabout. I'm not from Australia, but it's a very similar kind of mentality we had when I was growing up too, where people could just kind of at that time, and I don't know if it's still like that in Australia or not, but at that time, that generation, before computers and cell phones and cameras everywhere, people, believe it or not, used to just leave. They used to just leave, and you know, I think over here they call it for a hike.
We go shopping.
Or I guess they go shopping, yeah. But you know what I mean? You need to get away from it, so you leave for a while, right? So sometimes you didn't hear from people for a while, and then you realize, oh, they might be missing. And so an angel board could potentially be something that guides you and lets you know, is this, you know, are they in trouble? Do you need to go find them? You know, just kind of those kinds of things.
So it sounds like the angel board was used as really similar to a lot of people utilize psychics for.
Yeah.
To speak with their guides.
You know, I was kind of thinking that as I was talking about it. Yeah. So when we say like talk to your guides and how you, because like you, when you do your sessions with people, you're communicating directly with guides. So yeah, the angel board or the Ouija board was like our tool to be able to do that for those of us who didn't have the type of skill that you have, right?
So I have a question with that.
Yeah.
So I'm always talking about put your shields up. No matter what, put your shields up.
Yep.
So I have a question. You have what you call an angel board and speaking with your guides and such. And here people have what's they call a Ouija board.
Yeah.
And they typically are intentionally or not calling in demons if you watch every movie. And my question for you is, do you still need to put up those protections and those shields when you're using your angel board, or no?
Oh, absolutely. 100%. And there's specific ways to use it as well. So you don't, what I see, at least what I see in the movies here, and so I don't know if this is the normal practice, but you don't just like go to it, ask your question, and then just kind of leave it there. That's like basically, if you are able to get the doors open, that communication between the planes, then you're just leaving it open for whatever to potentially come through. So yes, there is a shielding element. I call it a ritual, but I don't want people to think ritual like this big elaborate thing, right? Ritual, it could be just like when you have the ritual of brushing your teeth at night. It just takes a minute, right? But you go through this process of protection, and then there's a certain way you begin your engagement, and that's again the protection, the gratitude, checking all the corners, right? We do a lot of Asian cultures. We do a lot of directional type work, so we're always north, south, east, west, right? What's going on? So checking all the doors, and then going in and trying to connect with whoever you're connecting. What we used to do is we never would try to connect directly with an entity. What we would do is we would connect with our guide, right? That's how you call it here, your guide, right? And that guide would be the one to communicate with whomever entity.
So they were your in-between.
They were, yes. So, yes. Mm-hmm. So we communicated very much with our own guides.
They were your bouncer. I always tell people, use your guides as your bouncer. Make sure your guides have final say on who's allowed in your shield or not. That
is correct, yes. So we were never, even if it was like, say, grandma, we never asked to speak directly to grandma, right? I would talk to 460, who, if any of you are new here, don't know, the history of 460 and 460's journal. 460 is actually the name of my guide, my main kind of guide who's been with me throughout this lifetime, at least. So even as a kid, I would actually communicate directly to 460 through this angel board, which, like I said, it could be at the moment just a random sheet of paper or napkin or something like that I could scratch out and draw the board on at that moment that I needed it, and then I could dispose of the board afterwards, right? Mm-hmm. But you always close out. So you always have, when you create this board, there are certain elements you always have. Like I said, for us, that north, south, east, west is part of it. I remember we always did like the phases of the moon was always on it, and then we had our characters, the letters or whatever you call them. And then you always had the keys to the doors. So you had like a door opening key and a door closing key.
On your board?
Yeah, that we would draw out. So you would, once you did all the protection stuff, right? You did the prep. You would enter through that door opening key. That's how you would connect to your guide. You had a very specific code or language with your guide, so that you always knew that, once you tried to connect, it was indeed your guide you were connecting with, because you have all sorts of different energies and entities, and depending on what state you're in, it's not like you can see, for most people, what's going on right in front of you. So you have this code, this certain way of initiating that interaction, right? It's like paying attention to somebody's behavior.
Could you give an example of that?
Yeah, I'm not going to give my code.
No, don't give out your security code, but give us an example of that, because I'm sitting here curious. Is it just how the energy feels to somebody? Is it the way a certain pattern is put out for them, or?
Yeah, it could be patterns, right? It could be a specific phrase and how that phrase is maybe spelled. It could be how the rock or the pendulum, whatever's being used on the board, could be how that moves sometimes, because that also moves in a very specific way. There might be an order, right? If they say, like, let's say, for example, the opening from them is always hello. Well, but maybe they do...
That's like making your password.
Yes, that's
Sorry,
right. Okay, so that's why I'm using that super generic,
okay.
right? So let's say, but then maybe it doesn't go spelling, maybe there's a certain pattern that they travel on the board, or a certain length of time they take. Maybe it's slower, maybe it's really fast between these two letters, and then it slows down and then gets, you know what I mean?
Yes.
So there's a way, there's a language, there's a code. So you can always verify if you're actually talking to your guide before you continue on. And if you're not, there was no, oh no, let me talk to my guide, I don't want to talk to you. You shut that thing down, you close it out, you turn the lock key that you made sure to remember to put on that board, and then you reset, and you give yourself a few minutes, and then you come back and try again.
Yeah, my guess would be if another spirit or entity tried to sneak in under the radar and pretend they were your guide, I wouldn't exactly trust them to let my tag out and let my guide be in. Right.
And so there's always, there are a lot of people I know, they think this work is so fun, right? At the same time that they think aspects of it is really scary. But I mean, it is work that, to me, you do have to take seriously, because tools like the Ouija board, look, the Ouija board isn't in and of itself an evil thing. That would be like saying a table saw is evil, right? But a table saw is just a tool. Now, would you let your 3-year-old just go and run the table saw? No. Would you let your teenager go and run the table saw if they had training?
Yes.
And any adult, really, right? So the Ouija board is like that. It's a tool. In and of itself is not inherently evil. But yes, it can cause a lot of damage if you don't know what you're doing.
Ouija boards don't call demons, you call demons.
That's
a
good
t-shirt.
one.
I'm making it.
That's a good one. We are going to put that on 460's journal. If you want to see that t-shirt up there, give us a like and we will get that up. I love it.
All right, Mel, that was absolutely fascinating. I loved it. Is there anything else you wanted to add to it at all?
I don't know. Do you want me to tell these stories?
I would love a story.
You want like the scary stories since it's Halloween? I mean, look, here's the thing. I just told people about how, like...
That's what I felt very much in conflict right then.
Why?
Could you tell 2 opposing stories? Like a scary one and then a beautiful one?
Gosh, I kind of only remember the scary ones.
Oh, fine. Just give us one.
Well, yeah.
You know what? If the scary one helps teach a lesson, I'd love it.
Well, all right, let me pick one real quick in my head. I want one that's not super scary, because I don't want people to be like so scared of the Ouija board or even of just talking to me. So let me pick something a little in the middle. And how about one where I got more annoyed than anything else? Will that be okay?
Okay, we'll see.
If there's a sudden stop after this sentence, it means we cut that part out. All right. I'll tell you a story. This one's actually living here in the United States and actually living here in Minnesota. So around Halloween time is one of those things, people, they like to play with the Ouija boards and stuff like that. And one year, and I don't remember what year it was a long time ago, it was many years ago, But I remember one year going out. Why are you laughing? Catherine is like laughing
Because
as I'm
Mel
trying
has
to remember.
no concept of time. This could have been like 3 years ago, or it could have been 10.
Could have been 2 days ago. All right, no, this was a long time ago. And I remember, of course, there was like weird stuff going on around the house. And that in and of itself, I almost said was unusual, but actually no. It is not unusual for weird stuff to go on in the house around me, but the level of weird stuff was unusual because it was the kind of weird stuff that was actually bothersome to both myself and my dog, right? Usually when I say weird stuff, I'm talking about, ghosts and entities just kind of going through in orbs and, fairies and all that kind of stuff. Nothing malicious. But this night there's something going on. And me and my dog, we felt it. And the part that I remember, and I think it's because I got so irritated, I'd gone out into my garage to get something, and I saw in my garage this, I don't know, faster than lightning black shadow just zip right around my garage really fast. And for those of you guys who don't know, I have a lot of visual skill, so I see a lot of things. So I see this black thing just zip, and I feel too, so I feel it with it, right? And I mean, it goes so fast, and I just knew immediately, like, what is going on here? What are these punk kids doing? Who is doing this? Those kinds of thoughts go through my head. They're not the usual, like, oh my God, there's a ghost in here, or whatever, right? The house is haunted. What do they do? What do they say in like the paranormal stories? There's a demon, right?
So your head immediately went to kids conjured this up.
Yes, my head went. Yeah, I guess that would be a good way to say it. Kids conjured it. My head technically went to punk kids. That's what I remember. Punk kids. What are they doing? Because here's what happens. Folks go in, they play with toys like that, or, they treat them as toys, is what I should say. They don't know what they're doing. And then stuff comes through. And there is a tendency when you have folks who do the kind of work that we do, there is a tendency for us to notice whether they gravitate towards us, right, Catherine?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Whether they gravitate towards us or whether we just happen to notice because we are able to see and hear and feel and, all those things. But we end up being the one to deal with the consequences. And that includes putting the genie back into the bottle. So, I had that initial irritation of punk kids playing with the Ouija board, and I had to go through and do the clearing. And it wasn't like, oh, this was a lost spirit who needed to like get help to follow the light and then they'd be with their family. It wasn't one of those. It was like, no, this thing doesn't belong here. If it stays here, people are gonna get sick, plants are gonna die, mold's gonna grow, those kinds of things. So it needed to get done and get done right away. My suspicion was punk kids were playing with the Ouija board, right? Mm-hmm. My suspicions were actually confirmed.
How so?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember how the sequence of events went, but it was one of those friend of a friend of a friend type deals. And the friend who, what is it, Kevin Bacon, 7 Degrees of Separation? The friend who was connected to me, actually, but through these degrees of separation, so it's not like I knew them personally, but their kids lived 1.5 miles away, and that's exactly what they were doing, was they were messing around with the Ouija board. So there's my moderately scary story, and hopefully I told it in a way that you don't get nightmares. If I could somehow transpose the image in my head, those of you who want nightmares, I could give them to you.
Well, hi, I have an idea. If anybody wants to hear the really scary one that Mel didn't share, go ahead and comment on that, because I would say we can always circle back to things and go into things more detail. So if people want to hear the really scary one, let us know. We're going to be doing more Halloween episodes for the remainder of this week. One of the nights is going to be ghost stories. So if we hear it before then, Mel can include it. Okay?
Yeah, then I'll remember. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Mel. That was amazing. And, you know, he's my husband and I live with him, but I love when he shares stories because he's one of those people that Mel doesn't talk unless he has something to say. So often I hear stories for the first time too when other people hear them.
It didn't come up. That's what I say, right? Well,
yep. I'll say, why didn't you ever tell me that? And he says, well, you never asked.
It didn't come up. What?
So thank you, Mel. Thank you for sharing your history with the Ouija boards with us.
Well, thank you for having me. Appreciate it. Hopefully I don't scare your audience away.
No, not at all. Everyone actually wants it a little bit this week anyway.
Yeah, that's true. It's Halloween.
Thanks everyone for joining us. Like I said, if you want to hear more about that, just give a comment. And I look forward to everyone joining us for tomorrow, because tomorrow Mel and I are going to do a paranormal react video.
Yeah.
That's all Mel's idea, and I think it'll be super fun. Have you ever watched those paranormal shows and they have like an EVP going and they're like, did you hear it? Did you hear it? It said Susan. And then they play it and it's like, I'm like, I don't know. And then they play it in slow motion and it's
I know.
No, I don't hear that. So anyhow, we're going to do that, and we actually want to be surprised by it. So we are doing it tomorrow night, and we haven't chosen it yet because we want to see it for the first time together when we do the react video to it. So if anyone has any suggestions of a paranormal show, you know, make sure you give us the, you know, not only the show, but the episode in the series.
Yeah, if you can get a link to us, you know, DM a link or something, that would be probably the best, right? Something we can watch on YouTube would be preferred. And I would say no more than an hour long. So these are things like those, ghost hunters?
Yeah.
Paranormal. I don't know any titles of any off the top of my head.
I don't either, but you know, there's some really good ones and there's some really entertaining ones, and there's some that make you jump in your seat, or there's ones that make you laugh. So whatever it is, we're going to do a react video to it. And if you have a suggestion for one to watch, put it down here before, you know, within the next like 20 hours. And it could be one that we use.
All right.
All right. Thanks again, everyone. Remember to like and subscribe so you don't miss any of the episodes, and look forward to seeing you the remainder of the week. Take care. Hey, thanks for joining. If you like more psychic or bra-related content, remember to subscribe and hit the notification bell, and then you won't miss any episodes.